So, look, we should get into our phone-in straight away because it was a big old day yesterday. Keir Starmer versus Nigel Farage. Sort of the wrestling match, really. You know, Starmer properly took Farage on, calling him out. What do you think? Yesterday, the Prime Minister says he is battling Farage's Reform Party for the soul of the country.
We can all see that the country faces a choice, a defining choice.
10 seconds.
Fork in the road. We could choose decency or we can choose division.
So the fork in the road. Presenting Labour, not Reform, as the true patriotic party, Starmer vowed not to, he said, surrender the national flag, waved by his cabinet and other onlookers to those he believes only want to divide us.
And with resolve, with respect, with the flag in our hands, we will renew this country until we can say with total conviction that Britain is built for all.
And he explained exactly why he thinks Farage is bad for the nation.
When was the last time that you heard Nigel Farage say anything positive about Britain's future? He can't. He doesn't like Britain, doesn't believe in Britain, wants you to doubt it just as much as he does.
Well, Nigel Farage was not impressed. In response, he said Starmer should be ashamed of his comments, which he called an absolute disgrace. He accused the Prime Minister of becoming obsessed with him after Reform took a lead in the polls. And he said he was more determined than ever to teach Starmer a lesson at the local elections next May.
What I've learnt this week is that the government are incapable of beating us on our arguments. And as a result, the Prime Minister has decided to descend into the gutter. This is a desperate last throw of the dice from a Prime Minister who's in deep trouble, a Prime Minister who can't even command the support of half of his own party. But I'm sorry to say, I now believe that he is unfit to be the Prime Minister of our country.
Right. It's just, politics never gets less interesting, does it? Let's just talk about the tactic here, Phil. Do you think Starmer was right to take Farage on personally?
Yes, 100%. But, you know, we're right. This is a big moment in politics. Most people in this country, I know Reform are becoming popular, 29, 30%. Most people reject Farage and all his party stand for. They believe, as Starmer said, in a tolerant society, fair play. The idea that this woman, Lucy Connolly, goes to the Reform conference, woman who, I won't use the swear word, she did, who wants to burn people alive in hostels and hotels, as she said on X, and then gets a standing ovation at the Reform conference. That's not the sort of society or country that most people in Britain want to live for.
Lynn, what do you think?
Most people reject Farage and all he stands for.
OK, Lynn.
Yeah, no, I do agree there are some nasty fractions and supporters of Reform, but then I can say the same for Labour.
Yeah.
And by a long shot, I do not agree with everything Farage or Reform says. However, I think some cheap shots were made. And I think...
Like what?
Yes, you're right. He had to take this stance, being the leader of Labour. But I think his stance is actually going to embolden and have more supporters towards Reform. Because when I say a cheap shot, I mean just branding, you know, anyone who supports Reform or alluding to, you know, just racism. I hate how the word racism is thrown at people. I know
He didn't do that yesterday so
much.
much.
It's a dog whistle.
He did, but the thing what he said yesterday, which I thought was really interesting, he said Farage doesn't like Britain. Do you think that was a mistake by Starmer, or was it true?
I think that was a mistake because, as you said, popularity is increasing, and it's increasing by Brits.
But you're making a mistake here. This is not about the Reform supporters are there already.
Yeah.
This is about getting people on the left to come back to Labour because there is a majority in this country who I think are decent left, centre and left of centre who would support him because he's gone a little bit right, and this is a way of getting those people back in the fold.
But he still is.
Because in the coming election,
he still is. Their
in
new
3 or
policy,
4 years'
Labour's
time,
new policy is essentially slightly Reform policy.
Well, let's just talk about that, because exactly on that point, Starmer said that Farage's plan to strip hundreds of thousands of legal migrants of the right to settle in the UK made him the enemy. Earlier this week, he had gone further when he spoke to the BBC's Laura Kuenssberg.
It is one thing to say we're going to remove illegal migrants, people who have no right to be here. I'm up for that. It is a completely different thing to say we are going to reach in to people who are lawfully here and start removing them. They are our neighbours. They're people who work in our economy. They are part of who we are. It will rip this country apart. I do think it is a racist policy. I do think it's immoral. It needs to be called out for what it is.
So yesterday, Farage said the comments were putting his safety and that of other Reform members at risk.
To accuse countless millions of being racist is a very, very low blow. Why? Well, this language will incite and encourage the radical left. I'm thinking of Antifa and other organisations like that. It directly threatens the safety of our elected officials and our campaigners. And frankly, in the wake of the Charlie Kirk murder, I think this is an absolute disgrace.
This morning, Starmer clarified his view while speaking to Beth Rigby of Sky News.
Prime Minister, do you think Nigel Farage is a racist?
No, nor do I think Reform voters are racist. They're concerned about things like our borders. They're frustrated about the pace of change. So I'm not for a moment suggesting that they are racist. I was talking about a particular policy.
Okay.
So it's all kicking off, isn't it? Also this morning, Reform's head of policy, Zia Youssef, claimed Farage had recently had his security detail cut by 75%. He's going backwards and forwards on whether he thinks Farage is racist himself.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the Daily Mail says it's right. I think he's attacking the policy as racist. Let's be honest. You can attack the policy, but not the people. And the idea that now the playground bully is now annoyed he's been bullied a bit himself and can't take it. And OK, MPs have been killed in this country, but not by the left. Not by the left. And there's a real, security of MPs and people like, Nigel Farage.
Left, David Davis. Just before we start, Lynn, I'll come back to you a sec. Let me just show you, this is the Daily Mail's headline. Labour has dragged politics into the gutter. And part of the reason for that is an incident yesterday that happened, if you like, it was off the ball, to use a football analogy, because the Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy referenced reports from 2013 that Farage had sang Nazi songs as a schoolboy. Let's see what he said.
I will leave it for the public to come to their own judgments about someone who once flirted with Hitler Youth when he was younger.
Well, the Hitler Youth was disbanded in 1945, 20 years before Farage was born. And Farage has denied singing any songs as a schoolboy. So Lammy was threatened with legal action, had to correct it.
He has denied it, and so I accept that he has denied it, and I would like to clarify that position because in the end, the Prime Minister was keen for us to focus on the policies, not the individual.
Let's talk.
Yeah, was that a
Why
big
can't
mistake?
he just say I was wrong? Like you said, it was disbanded before he, and
Lynn, your thoughts on that? Is that a big mistake? Because what you've got to do if you're Starmer, you mustn't have David Lammy appear on the wing like that.
Yeah, but this is what I was saying earlier. I think to just dismiss so many British citizens of just being racist because they have concern.
But he didn't.
Okay, if that was the case in terms of policy, he said, with the Laura Kuenssberg
it's a racist policy.
But then, okay, if it's such a racist policy, why are they reflecting their own policy with Shabab Mahmood, saying if you want to apply for indefinite leave to remain, you have to do this huge list?
Well, 10 years not. Well, that's the thing. Labour's policy is in a way further to right than Reform.
Exactly.
Because you've got to wait 10 years, not 5.
Hypocrisy, once again.
They're not thinking of deporting people who've lived here, as Starmer said, as our neighbours, who have married British people,
They've made it
paid taxes and work.
Have you seen the list? Phil, have you seen the list? It's it's going to be really hard. You cannot have any form of criminal conviction, which I agree with.
Yeah, who doesn't?
You cannot be on benefits. Many people here are on benefits for various reasons who want to apply for indefinite. It may be fleeing war and can't work. So by their own determination of what is deemed as, too far right, hatred to immigration, racism, they've just come out with a policy that's not far away.
I ask you this, don't you think that Farage walks a line here when it comes to racism. He knows exactly what he's doing. He stays just safely on one side of it, but there is a dog whistle out there to more, as you said, unsavoury elements in his party.
He didn't go on the Tommy Robinson march.
And
that
he
was,
did. I was about to say.
That's what I mean about walking the line.
Yeah.
Tommy Robinson,
No, he separates
but
himself, and that's why Nigel
Lucy
Farage,
Connolly, yes.
But this is why Nigel Farage and Elon Musk had almost like falling out, because Elon Musk supports Tommy Robinson, and he said, no, I don't support the far right people like
that
Tommy
explains.
Robinson.
Okay.
But hang on,
let's just pause for a sec. We'll just take the break. There's lots to talk about here. We'd love some calls from you as well. And just who you would back after yesterday. Who won yesterday, basically? Starmer or Farage? Starmer took Farage on directly. Farage immediately struck back. 0207. It was quite a big gamble for Starmer yesterday because he properly confronted Farage, named him, named the party. Let's just have a look over here and see exactly what went on. Did Starmer really have to get down and dirty with Farage? There are the two men. Use a bit of AI to show this, OK? So this is essentially what happened yesterday. Starmer says, right, we're on. Come outside. And they start the proper hand-to-hand wrestling. Nobody needs to see this, right? There's the Prime Minister there. Farage, he says, is the biggest threat we face. These are his words yesterday. He will turn Britain into a competition of victims. Farage resorts to grievance. He's a snake oil merchant. How many references? He unleashed chaos and walked away after Brexit. Farage is a man who will go to America and grub around for money, talking this great country down. Do they, Reform, just want to stir the pot of division? He says, but you know, he's got an alternative. He doesn't have to do this, does he? Because once he locks onto Farage, he maybe can't shake him off. And the country is sitting watching. Is this what politics is now? Is this what... Let's just freeze it here. Here are the two men. If you're Prime Minister, you don't expect to be in an embrace with your closest enemy. Do you really want to be flat on the canvas with your strongest opponent? There is an alternative. Farage goads Starmer. You can see him breathing more quickly here. And Starmer thinks, no, I'm not interested. You're not even really the official opposition. And at that point, that's when Farage is really frustrated because he didn't get him into the ring. We've got a fork in the road to look at here. Starmer, Farage. We'll discuss that in a moment. What do you think? He didn't have to mention him.
No, but Keir Starmer recently said that at the next election, it will be him versus Farage.
Yeah, but why does he?
So
why
you're
does he say
conceding
that?
already that they're doing that well.
It is the reality of where we are. That's
it is
absolutely true.
But what if he was?
And even more so in 3 or 4 years' time.
Sure. Well, yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
They're a one-man party. They're a one-man party.
Yeah.
You just have to see. So look, I'll show you my little easel here, if I can. The fork in the road. You'll be walking down this today, and you're thinking, hang on a minute, do I go to Starmer on the left or Farage on the right? So it's a simple question. Colin in Staffordshire, where are you today?
Quite frankly, Jeremy, I'd vote for my neighbour's dead cat rather than vote for Farage.
OK, so you're Starmer, because he's not a dead cat, but he's certainly not Farage, as you call him. Let me put you down there, Colin, OK? Why? Why wouldn't you vote for Mr Farage?
I wouldn't vote for Farage, and by the way, I call him Farage because where I come from, in South East London, if you took the F off his name and put in a G, it's garage.
Yes, I know. Well, some people say garage, but listen, I don't mind it.
Yeah, only posh people like you from West London.
I don't have a garage. There's nobody I know who's got one. But you're right, I call him Farage because that's what he calls himself, Colin. And generally it's polite, you know, if somebody says, that's how you pronounce my name. But don't worry about that. Why don't you like Farage?
Because I'm old. I'm 80 years of age.
OK, well done.
My father could remember fighting fascists in East London. And I remember my father telling me that's the enemy. And you look at Farage, now you don't see a fascist. You don't see a fascist. What you see is the start of a slippery slope.
Do you? I mean, listen, I respect your emotion, but it's slightly odd for a fascist to try and get elected, isn't it? I didn't think that's what they normally did.
Hold on, Jeremy. Didn't Hitler try to get elected? Didn't he get elected?
He was
Okay,
elected.
well, yes, fair enough.
Yes, indeed.
Well, he was in a minority government, wasn't he, Hitler? You think you really want to make that comparison, Colin, with Farage?
Yeah, learn from your history.
All right. OK, thank you. Graham in Glasgow. Starmer or Farage? Which fork in the road, Graham?
Farage.
OK.
I think he believes more in democracy than Starmer. I mean, you've got the legacy programme in Northern Ireland, which is against veterans. When Farage was asked about Scottish independence, he said he'd consider a referendum, where Starmer plainly said no.
You want a referendum on Scottish independence?
Yeah, and Farage will probably provide it.
Well, he might want it. I don't know. I hadn't even thought of that.
He's already stated he'd consider it. I've always voted for independence.
Well, he probably...
Starmer has stated said no.
Well, it's possible that
I believe in democracy.
Farage wants what you might call English independence from Scotland and Wales. I
believe England should get independence for Scotland. I think it'd be a great thing for Scotland if England became independent.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other programme, isn't it? Tony in Hampshire, hi.
Hi.
Fork in the road, Tony. Which way?
Yeah. Well, it's got to be Starmer on this one, without a doubt. I think, let's not forget that, Starmer did mention about Farage not liking Britain. I agree. I mean, recently he went to give evidence at the free speech thing in the States, didn't he? And was trying to encourage sanctions against the UK. That wasn't very patriotic,
I can't remember that exact detail, but sure, he's not, but he's more critical of the government than he is of the country. Lynn, I'm just going to put you down as Farage today. I know you, if you don't mind, and then I'll put Phil down as Starmer. Thank you very much indeed to Tony. And we've got John in London. Hi, John.
Hi, Jeremy.
So, where are you, John, on the fork? Which way are you forking today?
Only one way possible, Farage.
You're forking to Farage, John. Right, why is that then?
Well, look at his speech yesterday, Starmer made. He only once mentioned the cost of living, and that is the most important thing for the public. They worry about the rising prices of food, electricity's going up, and all that.
But do you think Farage will sort that, or is he what Starmer calls the snake oil salesman?
He calls it anything to upset people, but the only thing he's doing, I mean, look at his party conference yesterday.
Yeah.
I watched it on television. He had all these French bench sitting there with little flags in their hand, a more miserable bunch I've never seen, not one smile amongst them.
Well, they had a lot of flags, though. They had a lot of flags up there. All right, John, thanks.
That's all it was, flags. I mean, did you see...
Wasn't that a strange... Phil, look at this. You support this. I mean, Starmer says we march on with a flag in our hands.
He's only doing that
Well,
because
hang
of
on,
reform.
Well, maybe, but that's such a weird phrase,
Look
isn't
at
it?
them. Look at their faces.
And Yvette Cooper saying, I've got flags in my front room, flags in my bedroom.
This is Gareth Southgate's form of patriotism, which is about a welcoming, warm patriotism that he embraced for the England team and Scotland team, Welsh team. That's the sort of patriotism we like, not the sort of patriotism that divides people and is about hatred. OK, so here's the division, the fork in the road. Starmer on the left, Farage on the right. You tell us which way you would go. Thanks, John. After the break, more calls on whether you would back Starmer or Farage. Now on who you back out of Starmer and Farage after yesterday was quite a big day, wasn't it? 0207 862 2222. We mentioned it's not just Starmer taking aim at Farage, but his cabinet. Speaking to LBC, the Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, took a dig at Farage's approach to health and his appearance.
He chose to give a platform at his conference to someone who said the COVID vaccine gave the royal family cancer, says you can't trust this man with your health. And if that's the sort of health advice Nigel Farage is taking, maybe that's why he's the same age as Brad Pitt but looks 20 years older.
Oh!
No, I don't agree with that.
Let's not get
personal. He's the same age as me.
Yeah,
Farage.
I don't agree with that. And do you know what?
You don't agree with what?
him saying taking a personal shot.
Oh, rude about it.
Yeah, let's not get
Labour
personal.
would be the first, and this is a part of Labour that I do like. Like, don't be personal, don't take personal jabs, and then
Although,
it was
hang on,
childish.
I mean, I agree, but part of me also thinks we shouldn't have a sense of humour bypass either.
Was that the intention?
I think it needs to be more dirty. Yeah, I just think. I just think there was a guy called Torsten Bell who's an MP now, and he was making a speech yesterday. And someone said, do the Lib Dems have the right answer on this? And he said, the right answer can't possibly come from a fat guy in a wetsuit.
OK, could he have said...
Meaning Ed Davey.
Yeah, do you remember...
I think let's have more of it.
Could he say that about a woman?
They abolished the GLC, and they said to Livingstone, well, the minister wants to see you again. And he said, why do you think that is? And Livingstone said, maybe he fancies me. And I just think,
but what about
if
that was to a woman? Would you say the same thing? Sexist.
Well, that's true. You don't comment on a woman's appearance under any circumstances. You can comment on a man's appearance. There was a moment where the leader of the Scottish Nationalists in Westminster stood up. Maybe it was Ian Richardson. I can't remember his name. Ian Blackford.
Yeah.
And he says that the Prime Minister, and he's talking here to Boris Johnson, cannot have his cake and eat it. And Boris Johnson, the guy's large. Boris Johnson looks at him, I don't know, I think you've been having probably too much cake yourself. It brought the house down.
Yeah.
So let's not be too fussy about it.
Exactly.
OK, Sonia in Essex, hi. Oh, Sonia.
Jeremy.
Hello, sorry,
Good
yes.
morning, panel.
Good morning, what do you want to say? Well, let me just take you back to our little fork in the road, which is working rather well, isn't it, in this lovely English country setting. Are you forking towards Starmer or are you forking Farage?
Starmer,
right.
Always.
Did you watch the speech?
Yeah. I saw parts of it. I didn't see all of it. I just think, Farage needs to be called out. What he's trying to do is adopt what his buddy in America, Mr. Trump, how he won his election all around racism and issues of, deporting illegals. And we know that's gone wrong. And I think...
Has it gone wrong in the States? Trump has basically done what he said he would do, which is to send out agents.
There's been so many errors and, sending troops on the streets against people to quieten them down. We don't need that. And we also know that Elon Musk was backing Starmer. It was backing Farage around money. And I think there's a lot of that right-wing stuff coming through Farage.
Go on, Lynn.
Sonia, why is it the case that in recent times he's had such an overwhelming support from the British public then? Let me finish.
Overwhelming?
Of course, he's
on 30%. 30% of people love him, no matter what.
Compared to the others, he's getting a lot of support in a short space of time. So if it's true that he's a fascist, he's awful, he's racist, he's all these things, are you suggesting that all the people that are now deciding to possibly back reform in a general election, they are all those things too?
Well, we know that Hitler got through in the 1930s, and look at what happened there.
So are you saying that everyone who supports them are racist and fascist?
I'm saying there is racism, Lynn. You can deny it as much as you want.
No, I haven't denied it. I've never denied that there is racism. I've never done that.
Right. I'm saying there is, not everybody's, racist, but there are racist elements who want to back Farage. And let's be honest about that.
Sonia, I heard somebody saying that not everyone who votes Reform is racist, but all racists vote Reform. Is that true?
I don't know.
OK, no, I just it was an open goal I gave you just then.
Let's just tell people the truth about Farage. This man who supports Russia, who admires Putin. We've talked about his, admiration of Trump. This guy questions whether we should have a free national health service.
All those things I agree with too, though.
True.
All those things I agree with too. I'm not going to say I love Russia and Putin.
So why do we like him?
But I think that we are too critical from a Western standpoint.
All right, let's take another call. Sonia, thank you. Derek, hello, Derek in Northamptonshire. How are you today?
Oh, I'm not too bad, thank you. How did you say this?
I'm very well. I'm wondering which fork. I'm going to guess you probably fork towards Starmer, would you, Derek? I don't know.
No, actually, I'm more in favour of Mr. Farage.
Oh, OK. So what's brought that on?
Well, I think that Mr. Starmer is so beside himself about the success of the Reform Party that he's trying desperately to discredit them in any way he can think of. It's as simple as that. But I think there's so many failures under Labour. People voted for Labour. By the way, it was a very small turnout with which they won. But they voted for change, but people didn't understand what change meant. But now they've found out what change has meant, they're very much disillusioned.
Yeah, well, it's different. What is it? They haven't got
a much brighter future.
But do you not think you're falling for the snake oil here, Derek? Because Farage hasn't really been tested in anything apart from being MP for Clacton.
Well, some people might say, yes, better the devil you know than one you don't. But when you think of the record of Labour, its failure on immigration, its failure on the black hole, which was 22 billion, we were told. When
Derek, they've only been in for a year.
They've successfully increased it to
Phil, do you understand what Keir Starmer stands for?
I mean, I'm not a massive...
There's
I'm not
no
a
one
huge
seems to.
supporter of Starmer, but I'm against Farage, and I kind of think Labour should be doing more for ordinary people, for the health service. But also, where's the money? During COVID, the government paid people not to work for 6 months, and that's why there's no money. There is no money.
There hasn't been any money for years. We're just borrowing.
So then you have to shrink spending.
Well, there we are. I mean, taking over this country...
back on what, then?
Taking over this country is like taking over a shop where you've got no stock and you have to charge all the customers when they walk in. And you wonder why you become the most unpopular shopkeeper within 6 months of arriving. OK, we'll take our break. We'll have some more calls because there's lots of people ringing in. You can choose your fork in the road here, Starmer or Farage. 0207 862 2222. Later we'll ask if e-scooters should be banned. See you in a moment. Later we'll ask if all e-scooters should be banned. First, more calls on who you back, Starmer or Farage. We've got our little board over there. Get your name on it. Jamie in Stirling. What about you, Jamie?
Hi, it's just a mess at the moment with everything that's going on. I'm leading more towards Farage.
Are you now? Why do you say it's a mess? Do you think Starmer has had his chance and failed?
I think Starmer's caused more diversion in this country, especially me speaking on behalf of people that's my age, around about the 30s, 20s, than ever before. He's caused a major break between cultures of different people.
But what should he be doing, Jamie, that he's not doing? Or should he be... I mean, for example, there is this thought, you take the winter fuel allowance from the old people and you give it to people who are 30, like yourself, because you need the money more.
Not at all, no. I run a business and I do a lot of charity work to help elderly families every year with their supporting their heating and essentials, but I mean, it shouldn't fall on other people to try and support the mistakes of what Starmer's doing. He's made an absolute mess. He comes on air and he talks about he's going to save you £300 per year on your bills at home, but is he asking people that have families and young children and the likes of the working class what they really need? What is it they really need? He's
only been in for a year, says Phil.
He's done multiple
the Tories were in for 14 years. I mean, OK, I'm not a big fan of him, and I think he should be doing more for ordinary working people. But, I kind of think we don't have any money. The country was in a massive mess. He's not the best leader in the world, but what would we have him do?
Jamie, what's the one thing you want him to do that he's not doing?
I want him to. I personally just want someone to stand up there and be integrated with society and its people and bond more with people instead of being so disjointed and disoriented.
Well, maybe. Okay, yeah. All right, Jamie. Thank you. Brenda in Leicestershire. Hi. Hello. Brenda, are we Starmer or Farage today?
Oh, I'm definitely Starmer.
Okay.
I'm better off. Oh.
Go on.
I'm better off on £1 a week. I was on old age pension credit, having £16,000 in the bank. I had to pay full rent and council tax. I've only just found out that if you're on pension credit, guaranteed credit, now, since the 1st of the 4th, You can still have 16,000 in the bank, but you get free rent and council tax. And if there's any more old age pensioners out there that didn't realise it, have a look and check if the pension credit has got guaranteed on the end, because you won't have to pay rent and council tax. And also, I want to add on, if Starmer was to give the real workers over £12 a week for working an hour,
What do you mean when you say real workers? You mean people who are on lower wages?
The hard-working workers. You're giving them £12 a week is disgusting. It gives them no hope.
I think he raised it though, didn't he? He did raise it. This thing of the working people thing, I never get it, because when they say hard-working families, we know they're not including the solicitor on £150,000 a year. That's not who we're including, Lynn, is it?
Yeah, but when they came into power, they said they wouldn't affect the average working person, and that does include the small businessmen. And with the rise of NI, it has
employers has gone up.
The average working person. We're seeing record numbers of businesses having to close.
Where would you raise the money? I know you say you cut things, but where would you raise the money if you're not going to put it on employers' national insurance? They stuck to their pledge.
Well, isn't the answer that the Conservatives, who are they, by the way, say their answer is, the only way you can raise it is by getting growth, and the only way you get growth is by cutting taxes. That's what they
wants growth.
But maybe that takes us back to Liz Truss.
They said they were going to be the party of growth. I don't see no huge growth happening.
Well, no, it's not. Wendy in Carmarthenshire. Hi, Wendy.
Yeah, hi there. Definitely Farage. No question about it. And we're not all fascists. I'm a farmer, and of course what Labour have done to farmers is disgusting with the inheritance tax. But with Labour, they've got no money. OK, they started with no money, but they waste so much money. And it's like, if I'm short of money, I don't say, well, I'm going to give the lifeboats £200 this month, and I'll give the Cancer Trust £200, and I'm going to give the old people £200. If you haven't got any money, you can't keep giving it away. Like they give it away to other countries, the islands that they've sold, and all the rest of it.
Yeah. But they think there are some things that they have to do because it's just. So, for example, yesterday they announced that councillors will get final salary pensions, or they'll get a state pension, because they say it's an outrage that was stopped. So they feel there's a moral reason, Wendy.
Yeah, well, there isn't a moral reason. I'm a farmer. I don't have a big pension because I've never been able to afford to put money into it, and I work 7 days a week. But it's just a waste of money. And what they do is waste money, and then they put up taxes and charge people and do all that. Look, if you haven't got money, stop wasting it instead of just putting up taxes and taking money off working people.
Thank you, Wendy. I'm going to take one more call. Thank you so much. Rosie in North Yorkshire. Hi, Starmer or Farage, Rosie?
It's Starmer. I think he's a decent man. He's a respectable man. He doesn't get the credit he deserves. I think the press do not portray him well. I think he could be better portrayed. I think that Farage is not somebody that I could respect.
Okay.
He's divisive with his policies, and I agree with one of the other callers who said it's a slippery slope, and I do believe that, and I do believe that politics would be better if the media kept out of it a lot.
Thank you. 12 calls, half a dozen each. That's probably that we were just fair backstage when we put them through. But thank you very much. That was very instructive. It shows how finely balanced things are.